We usually try to avoid tension in our life, but in design, tension is one of our strongest tools. Tension is a way for us to create visual interest through a relationship with the elements on the page. When you see a pin near a balloon, we feel tension. The closer this pin gets, the more tense we feel. And this can actually also give us a sense of excitement. Design has the power to do the same. Something I try to practice every day is to avoid designing something where everything is in the center. The center of the page is an expected location, and it can be safe and also boring. Take a look at this circle and square. The square sits in the center of the page. The relationship between them is comfortable but dull. Sure, it works, but there's no excitement in this layout since all the elements are in the expected center position. They appear static and can even be considered boring. Now, we create tension and energy by moving these shapes. If we move the circle toward the edge and turn the square slightly, we can create an interesting relationship between these two. This slight change also makes it appear as if the two objects are in motion, like one of them's falling. This adds energy to the layout, making it more exciting to look at than before. We can also add tension to a layout by moving elements closer to each other. In this example, we can start with a simple layout of numbers. Now this works, but it's a little boring. It doesn't make the viewer take notice and take them through a journey. So how do we fix it? First, we can move the second year down into a more unexpected position. This creates a new relationship between the numbers. But the slash still feels out of place. If we make a new slash, one that's thinner and longer, we create more visual interest and tension. The elements now feel like they have gravity and are kind of reacting to each other's positions. We can even move the slash closer to the number on the left and make them touch. This adds even more tension and makes the outcome much more interesting than when we started. As designers, we need to communicate ideas in the clearest way possible. But this doesn't necessarily mean that we should create safe designs. Your goal should be to try and engage your audience and make them participate in the design with you. When laying something out on a page, make sure to notice the negative space around each element. If you start to notice that the negative spaces are equal on either side, you're heading toward an expected layout. In this poster, notice there is actually equal negative space on all sides and barely any in between the objects. This actually creates tension. The oversized letters overpower and slide off the page, not to mention the bullet headed in the same direction. This causes some discomfort to the viewer and makes you engage more. On this page, the text and the image are centered vertically and horizontally. The negative spaces around all the elements is equal, resulting in kind of a bland layout. Now, by moving the text off center and toward the left, we're creating more negative space to the right. We're also activating a different part of the page by doing so. We can even move the image to the right to create even more tension and balance. Moving the headline closer to the text creates even more tension, and the elements now appear to be in motion, almost moving off the page. This creates excitement and engages the audience. There are some starting points when you create tension, but with anything, learning how to create tension in design just takes practice. Contrast is another way to achieve visual interest. For me, contrast is one of the most important design principles to learn. Contrast is another key ingredient in successful design. It can be the difference between exciting and boring. It can make something stand out rather than hide. There are many different kinds of contrast. Contrast between big and small, dark and light, vibrant and dull, and complex and simple. When something lacks contrast, it can be totally forgettable and not very exciting to see. Sometimes it's not even that easy to see. Low contrast makes nothing stand out and can make it hard for the viewer to differentiate between elements on a page. In this example, the extremely large number set against the smaller text adds high contrast to the page. To me, the layout is engaging and exciting. Black and white has the highest contrast amongst all color combinations. And when you use it boldly, black and white can be a wonderful combination. White text against a black background makes the text appear bigger than it is. It even looks brighter. We can even create high contrast with different color combinations. On these tickets, the high contrast of the yellow and the blue up against the red creates a really strong interaction that makes the piece extremely exciting. In the context of the sport it's highlighting, this excitement is totally necessary. When you're trying to add contrast to your work, think big. Instead of making something 5% bigger, try 200%. Instead of making a color only a touch brighter, really push the saturation. Try something you think might be a mistake. Experimentation is key to great design. Don't be afraid to make a mistake or two. Now it's your turn to practice using tension and contrast. In the exercise file, try and see how you can increase the contrast between the different elements. Does something here need to be really big? Or does it need to be bright? Once you start to get a feel for what works, try working the other elements around it. Also, think about how you can create tension through contrast. Does something need to move closer or further away from the edge of the page, maybe? Maybe the size of one element needs to change up against another. Whatever you do, make sure to take bold design risks. And once again, don't be afraid to fail. Mistakes will only help hone your design instincts.